Good morning. Tap, tap, tap. Is this thing on? Good morning. Good morning, Glency, Antoinette, and Confidence. Good morning, V. Marie Blunt. Good morning, Carmen. Good morning. Wakey, wakey. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. Come on into the room. Good morning. Good morning. You know, right when I sit down, my nose starts running. Good morning, y'all. Come on into the room. Good morning. Good morning. To all of the village keepers, good morning. Good morning. Come on in to the room. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. It is good to see your names. Ashe. Yes. Hey, Carmen. Good morning. All right, friends, it looks like it is just us this morning. Yes, so let's get it. Let's go. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Hold on 1 second. I want to get us back over here. I was just trying to connect something. Anyway, that's something I'll just have to figure out. Good morning, y'all. Hey, everybody. Come on into the space. Good morning to those whose names that I have not had an opportunity to see and have not yet spoken your name. Good morning to you. Welcome. Good morning. Come on in the room. Good morning. LaWanda Williams Spain says, I just want to thank everyone who came to my rescue a few weeks ago when we were without heat. My family and I appreciate you all. Thank you for allowing us to serve in that way. Mutual aid, it did not start out this way, but because I believe in mutual aid, and because I have been a recipient of mutual aid, it is Ubuntu here, which is and I am because you are kind of philosophy. And while I'm not always able to put the call out for everyone in time, and there's really no science to it, it really just depends on where people are in their own financial status, how folks respond. I hope the folks never take it personal, that if when the call for mutual aid is put out, that folks never, take it one way or another according to how folks respond. I know that there really is no sort of respecter to person when it comes to that. People respond as they are able. So I'm glad. And I never know, unless someone reports back, I never know exactly how much people respond. It says someone's asking me, am I frozen? I'm not frozen here. Am I frozen? To some of you, Glency's asking, am I frozen? I'm not frozen. I'm moving around, waving and everything. But if I am, someone else, let me know. Tap in and type in if I'm frozen for other people. Glency, you may just have to refresh. Go out of your screen and refresh. And remember, friends, you can always kick in right on YouTube and engage with us there. So good morning to our village keepers on YouTube. You can go to the Robe Chronicles YouTube page and please subscribe. Make sure that you subscribe on our Pink Robe Chronicles page, and you share it with friends. Good morning, Devon. Good morning, Rihanna and Kanita. We can usually count on you to be over there in the not frozen on YouTube. Okay, thank you, thank you. I can usually count on you all to be over here, Ashe, in our YouTube space. And so good morning to each of you. Since I was for a moment, but I'm fine now. Okay, Ashe, I'm here, and I'm back. Good morning, good morning. By way of, I don't have any announcements this week other than I want to say thank you. Thank you to those of you who have been praying with me and with our family for our mother-in-law, my mother-in-law, Cleopatra Young. I want to thank you so much and ask that you would continue to pray for us as she is progressing. There's a long journey, healing journey to go, but she is progressing. And so please continue to lift up Cleopatra Young for complete recovery and healing, Ashe, as we will continue to lift up, hey Quell, hey Confidence, those, for those of you who have prayer needs, if you have names that you want to just type there in the section, go ahead. I also want to share with you all some text that I picked up last weekend. I don't think I got to share. This will probably come over backwards, but this is, let me see if I can get it. This is Comrade Sisters, Women of the Black Panther Party. Comrade Sisters, Women of the Black Panther Party. And when you open the text, it has all of the names of the women who were documented members of the Comrade Party. So it says of the Black Panther Party, excuse me. It is just a beautiful, beautiful text that I'm looking forward to reading and to getting in. It really called to me in such a powerful way. I also picked up last weekend, maybe I did show y'all, I don't know, maybe I'm having a senior moment, but I'm gonna show you again. I also picked up, I think I did, but I'm showing you again. I also picked up Imani Perry's South to America. Natasha Trethway says this about the book: that in the tradition of Native daughters and sons returning home and cataloging the journey, Imani Perry undertakes an exploration of and meditation on the many Souths that make up the American Southland. Part pilgrimage, part elegy and clarion call, South to America is wide-ranging, associative, and seamlessly woven, an ambitious sweep of history, culture, language. Perry's intellect is capacious, moving deftly between registers. She proves to be an insightful and compelling guide. Let me tell you something. That Natasha Trethway is a writer, Ashe. I also picked up Hey, Natasha, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you were breaking today. I'm glad that you're here, though. Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Aubrey Hendricks, Christians Against Christianity. And I picked up this beautiful book called In the Black Fantastic. Look at that picture, though. I mean, listen. I also want to invite you, if you've not already, and I'm getting ready to make my order, 2 books. It's Dr. Daniel Black's, is it Black on Black? I believe it's Black on Black. Mel Chris, if you're on, and I don't know if Natasha, if you've settled in yet, but yep, there she go. Thank you, Natasha. It's called Black on Black. It comes out, does it come out January 30th? Or it may also already be out. I'm not sure, but I need that book, and so do you. And shout out to Dr. Daniel Black, a village keeper here at PRC, a community elder, founder, and leader of the Nation of Ndugu and Nzinga there in Atlanta, amongst other things, amongst being the award-winning author of Don't Cry for Me of The Coming is recently debuted on the sound project of Malcolm Jamal Warner. So in between the tracks, you will hear the voice of none other than Baba Omatosho, aka Dr. Daniel Black. And so we love you here, Pink Robe Chronicles, Baba. And you know, the Samson Young household really, 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 really loves you. And we appreciate you. So yes, thank you, Natasha, to be sure to pick up Black on Black. And if there are any other texts, I saw that our sister Confidence put up a list of texts that she's currently moving through. They are texts that some of them we've moved through together here as a community already. Others of them I've read just as a part of my doctoral studies and, you know, some of my interests. And so I encourage you to move in that one. The other one is Levon Proverbs. Excuse me, Levon, I apologize. Levon Briggs. Levon Briggs. Her text is now in pre-order called Central Faith. Central Faith. So I invite you to cop that also. This is what we do here for those of you for whom this is your first opportunity. Welcome to the Pink Robe Chronicles, this digital hush harbor where we engage in wisdom bearing, truth telling, ashe, where we center the text of the folk in general and of Black women specifically, where we have an opportunity to move deeper into those texts as we move beyond this space to our more intimate private Zoom called The Clearing, ashe. Today you will have an opportunity to move to The Clearing, to sort of have an opportunity to see what goes on there next week. The Clearing will come to those specifically who are subscribers, Ashe, and I will give all of that information online this week so folks can be ready and be prepared. Because we have curated this space, we want to make sure that folks value it, that it is protected and guarded, Ashe. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Tana. It looks like you had a beautiful time in Hawaii. We are glad. Good morning, Dr. Chayla, who is reading Dancing in the Darkness by the Reverend Dr. Otis Moss. Yep, 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 yep. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. That is another text that I have to read. Good morning. Thank you. I'm going to call you my angel doctor. You know who you are, who's on this morning. Thank you for the push, Ashe. Thank you for the push. Thank you for the push to get us, to get me going into a space and to get me to honor myself, Ashe, to honor myself enough to require that. The clearing, we've been in the clearing now for a little over a year, Ashe, and it is a beautiful space. So today, all announcements, govern yourselves accordingly. Again, this should have given people time to wake up, for us to tag folks to get here. Let's see again. I see, hey, Leah Burgess. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome on to the YouTube page. Yeah, Dr. Aubrey Hendricks, I think this is Devon saying, will be teaching the Saturday seminary course at the Alfred Street Baptist Church. I believe it's also virtual access. So for those of you, I think it was Dr. Valerie Bridgman this past Saturday. It was Dr. Renita Williams the Saturday before. So shout out to the Alfred Street Baptist Church community and their pastor and the entire leadership team there, who are doing phenomenal work, Seminary Saturdays, as a way to provide an opportunity for those who would not normally have the resources of seminary to get a taste of the kinds of teaching that happens in seminary. Ashe. I hear these beautiful birds outside my window. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Dr. Candace. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to each of you. Let's just take a couple breaths in. I feel like I need to do this. I need some breaths, Ashe. Ooh. I need some breaths. A focal text that I want to center this particular chronicle around. Thank you to the Digi Deacons, Natasha Robinson and Carmen White Yannock. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Carlene Carey, if you're on, thank you, thank you. Hey, Tamil. Yes, yes. Hey, Ashley, it's good to see your name. It's good to see your name. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Um, the text for today, Philippians. I've been trafficking in Paul. Oh, Philippians, this chronicle is centered around Philippians really is centered around a theme, but I know that for some of us, we don't count it sacred unless it has a biblical text to it. And we have been taught, as a homiletician and one who teaches preaching, we have been taught that a sermon is not a sermon unless the biblical text is tied to it. Now, I do not agree with that, but I do admit that is what I have taught because that is what I was taught. But I do not agree, Ashe. But as a way to sort of be present to the many, to the various positions in spiritual life that folk hold here. I acknowledge that and attempt to, when I can, to present a text alongside a theme that has come up, Ashe. And so this text is Philippians, a very familiar text, Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to everyone, for the Lord is near. Do not worry about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. It is verse 6 and 7 where I'd like to hang around. Do not worry about anything, but in everything. Anything and in everything. But in everything by prayer and request. That's what supplication is. But by prayer and request and with thanksgiving, right? Make your requests known to God. And when you do such, the peace. It's that part. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This chronicle wants to simply reflect on the theme, work, don't worry. Work, don't worry. On this week, when I'm writing, I like to have some background noise. Usually it cannot be music. It needs to be like usually some kind of talking, but not as loud as talking that happens in a coffee shop. However, recently my sister and good friend, sister doc colleague, Dr. Shavli T.J. Smith provided a playlist that does work for me now. She has a bomb jazz playlist that she has tapped me into, and that works. But usually it's some kind of TV series, something that's binge worthy, that's sort of just playing in the background of my writing. And this week it was the television show Fire Country. I don't know if who here is familiar with the television Fire Country, but the television show Fire Country that comes on CBS is centered around a community in California, around Sacramento, California. And the main character's name is Bodie. Bodie is an inmate in a prison who is participating in a kind of work release program where if he trains at this space called Third Rock as a firefighter, that it could cut time off of his sentence. Bodie has been sentenced because he robbed a person at gunpoint. He robbed a person at gunpoint because he was high on drugs. He was on drugs because he was disappointed with the way that his life has turned out. And he was in a car accident where his sister was killed. Bodie, as you can hear, has a lot on his chest. And so when Bodie becomes a part of this program, he doesn't know that the place that he is going to end up doing his training is in his hometown. He was under the illusion that the space that he would do his training would not be his hometown, where he would not have to engage and deal with sort of all of the memories that would come as a result of being so affiliated with a place. Bodhi wanted to be far beyond that which had caused him the most pain and that in which he had caused some pain. And so the series begins to unfold right around episode 4 of the series. There is, in this particular episode, there is a major happening. A building has collapsed. A building has collapsed while a wedding party is in there. And there are, of course, as you can imagine, the scene is horrific. And so when the two firefighters walk into this unimaginable scene, one of the firefighters looks around and she is concerned. She recognizes that someone dear to her is in the rubble, and she recognizes that the foundation, the structure of the facility is unstable. Help me, Holy Ghost. And so she takes one look around, realizing the instability of the structure, and she begins to say to her partner, what if the structure falls? And before she can get it out, her partner says, remember what Chief always says, work, don't worry. Well, friends, you should know that even though I was working on something, I kind of stopped and turned because that piqued my interest. I started to watch the rest of the episode, this here work, don't worry, and the situation became even more dire. The chief that they were taking orders from, as he is trying to save someone, he ends up falling deeper into the unstable structure. And now a rescue has to be made for him. And so as they are trying to get to the chief, one of the chief's mentees begins to apologize. He is apologizing because the chief has just realized that this person had some information that he should have been told a long time ago. So he's upset. So as the person is saying, Chief, I just want to say sorry, Chief says to the person, listen, what is the mantra? The mantra is work, don't worry. That was the instance number 2. And then just as the episode is winding up, the wife of the chief, it was, I promise you, I couldn't have written this better myself. The wife of the chief has chronic kidney disease. And for those of you who know, I also have chronic kidney disease. And I almost turned it because I was like, there's too much of a trigger. I don't want to watch that. But as I'm watching and she is professing or a concern about, what's going on with her treatment and how she's moving through and what will happen if. And on the third instance, the chief says, remember, the mantra is work, don't worry. Well, friends, that whole notion of work, don't worry, has hit me in such a place, such a big place. Like I could not stop thinking about how I, like the firefighter, when I enter situations or when I am facing what looks like insurmountable odds, that the first thing that comes to mind or the first emotion that I experience is worry. Melva, what are you saying? Yeah, the first thing. What does it mean to worry? Well, according to many of the dictionaries, to worry means to give way to anxiety or unease, to allow one's mind to dwell on difficulty or troubles. So what was it then that the chief was trying to say? The chief was inviting them to consider not worrying about what was in front of them, but if they would methodically do a particular kind of work, if they would fix their mind not on what was in front of them, but if they would tap into what they had been trained to do, if they would tap into that particular skill, that particular gift, and focus their mind on that, that ultimately it would give way to clearance, and everything that needed to fall in place would fall in place. Oh, but friends, I am sure, I am positive that I'm not the only one one who faces insurmountable odds. Certainly, we face insurmountable odds, or what others believe are insurmountable odds, at the various intersections in which we live. If we live at an intersection of race and gender, if we live at an intersection of race, gender, and class, if we live at an intersection of race, gender, class, sexuality, age, so forth and so on, there is a way in which when certain situations come, or when we are placed in certain spaces, when we have to function and face spatial types of politics, we automatically, something clicks in where we begin to worry. And one of those insurmountable odds, what does an insurmountable odd look like? It is possible then that an insurmountable odd can look like a deadline. Just want to help. I will be selfish this morning. I just need to help myself, I say. And I hope by helping myself that you get a blessing out of it too. Deadlines make me anxious. I don't know. I'm not an A-type personality. Some folk need a deadline to sort of keep them, to keep them in order. Deadlines provide a specific time period to accomplish a stated goal or task. Deadlines keep people sort of monitored. But sometimes for me, certain types of deadlines can feel insurmountable. Like you, I crossed into 2023 not only with hopes for a healthy and prosperous new year, for the desire for good vibes and interactions governed by the principle of mutual respect and responsibility. I stepped into 2023 with intentions to retrieve my confidence and my passion, to manifest a clear path to vocational fulfillment, and to retrieve what Mama E.T. Hari identifies as the immortal aspects of my divine nature, she says, which, by the way, these immortal aspects, and I can't tell it all because we're working, she, myself, Michael, and other ritualists are working for the opening ritual for the Proctor Conference. So I'll just share this little bit snippet that I entered in, as she says, with the immortal aspects of my divine nature, which, by the way, is not a response to a human condition, but it is the Ashe that has been with me, that was with me, that is with me, that was with me upon my entrance onto this plane of reality. I welcomed an alignment of my expectations and casted clear intentions into the universe. I committed to new habits, or so I thought, but I also came into 2023 with some looming deadlines. With some looming deadlines. Some things that were right up on me. Some things that make me worry. Some things that make me think, that take my mind off of what is in front of me and automatically take me past the deadline. Does anybody else have that issue? Does anybody else have the issue of having a set period of time, and instead of focusing on minute by minute, moment by moments that are in front of us, that we've already moved past the deadline? Let me see if the folk are on here, and who is it that is in agreement with me? Is there anyone? Is there anyone who experiences something that is so? And see, there's this thing with deadlines. There are deadlines that we have imposed on ourselves. By such and such date, I'm gonna have this done. Da 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 da. But they're the ones that give us most pause. Are the deadlines that are imposed by other systems, institutions, people, places, things. Those are the deadlines that do something to us. For instance, what is the debt? Well, those of you who pay mortgage, or you pay rent, or you have any kind of financial responsibility, knows that there is a deadline for you to pay something in order to be considered current. Oh my God, today. Well, friends, I just want to simply say that as we are on this 22nd day of the new year, that some of us, even though we crossed over with the best and the highest intentions, that some of us have already, God, some of us have already got stuck in the muck and the mire of what we see in front of us. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not talking to my Daniel fast people and to all of the folks. Amen. This might feel like slight shade, but to all of the folks who are in dry January and fasting good. No, I'm not talking to y'all. I am talking to y'all, but I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking to the folk who came in not even having the energy to fast. I'm talking to the people who were so disappointed, or as Mama E.T. Hari says, who experience misaligned expectations so much in 2022 that 2023 just kind of sort of rolled in, and that there was no even room to kind of sort of step back. I'm talking to folks who still have a desire, but the truth of the matter is that you have something looming over you, and it is now time for you to either shit or get off the pot. I'm talking to the folk who said it in 2021. They said it in 2020, and now here we are in 2023, and now it's before you, and now your stomach is in knots. I just read it. Now you get a headache, or you get all clammy, or you get all warm. I'm talking to the folks who don't even have the energy, or yeah. To the folk who are wondering, what will this fast do, or what will it mean for me to turn down, a plate, or to turn off who just don't even have the capacity because the deadline is looming. The deadline could also be as a result of fear. The deadline could also be as the result of discomfort in a community. The deadline could also be around ways that you have decided that you are going to show up in the fullness of yourself as to reject false teachings. Friends, these are the three reasons that the Apostle Paul begins to speak to those at the church of Philippi in our text on this morning. Philippi, it is the first space, the first place where there is a church in Europe. This first church plant in Europe, the first to be baptized in this church plant in Europe is Lydia. It is Timothy's mother, Timothy's grandmother Lois. You remember a few weeks ago where Paul is saying to Timothy, it is because of your grandmother's faith, the faith of your grandmother and the faith of your mother. Lydia begins to hear this teaching that Paul is giving and is the first to say, I believe, baptize me. Here in this church at Philippi, Philippi being a colony of Rome in the province of Macedonia, means then that those who live in Philippi are under constant threat of being they are colonized, if you will, even though being a Roman colony had certain benefits for certain Roman citizens, meaning these colonies were places where the leaders of Rome would send their military veterans to live, to set up shop. It was also a space where folk had experienced a type of freedom, a modicum of freedom, where you did not have to pay taxes to the Roman Empire if you were a member of, if you were a Roman citizen living in a Roman colony. So Philippi also identified or structured as a little Rome. So here Paul expands his evangelistic, his missionary journey. This is his first time going into Europe. Paul now is writing a letter. My goodness, come on back to me, memory. Come on, seminary, help me out. Paul is writing a letter to the people at Philippi, to the church at Philippi, while he is incarcerated. We don't know particularly which incarceration this is, but we know that this is his second missionary journey, and we know that he is incarcerated. We know that Paul has been incarcerated before. We can go back to Acts to look at the ways Paul sort of runs down his own resume as an evangelist, if you will, on what has happened to him when he has been in jail. So Paul is writing to them and is saying that I wish that I could send Timothy to you, the one who is a servant, the one who loves you like I love you. But Timothy is locked down too. So instead, I'm going to send Epaphroditus. And Paul sends Epaphroditus to the people and says, here, take this letter. And when the people get the letter, Paul is addressing three things, as I already stated. Paul is addressing first, saying to them, listen, watch out for these false teachings, kind of sort of saying to them, one, addressing the persecution from those outside of the church. Paul is saying to them, there are folk who are coming. And who were the folk? The folk were the Jews. The folk actually were not only Jews, but they were also the Jewish Christians. My goodness, today. Paul is saying to them, they are coming for you, so watch out. He says that in chapter 1, verse 27 through 30. Let me find it real quick. He says, only live your life in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. I come and see you, I will know that you are standing firm in one spirit, striving side by side with one mind for the faith of the gospel, and are in no way intimidated by your opponents. For them, this is evidence of their destruction. Paul is saying that the way that you destroy your opponents is to be unified in your mission. So that's the first thing Paul is coming. He's coming to tell them to stand strong against those who are persecuting you, those who are coming to persecute you. Second, Paul is bringing sort of awareness around this this possibility of false teaching. Let me spend some time right here before we wrap this up. Did this in an article titled The Sociological Factors Behind Philippians 3, 1 through 11 and the Conflict at Philippi. Michael Telby suggests that the argument in Philippians 3, 1 through 11 about false teaching was shaped by the particular sociological and historical situation of the Philippian church, namely the ongoing conflict between the church and Roman society. There it is. That there was conflict between the church and the Roman society at Philippi. According to Telby, this was a conflict caused at least in part by a clash between the Christian gospel and the ideology of the civic cult of the city. So the Christian gospel and the ideology of Rome were in conflict. The identity of the agitators in Philippians, especially Philippians 3, 2 through 6, was most likely Jewish Christians, that is, Judaizers. Their appeal to accept circumcision would have been theologically attractive for Philippian believers, he says, as a means of securing their identity as true members of God's people. Hold on, put your pen right there. Moreover, for a church which suffered from class with surrounding society, the same message would have also been sociologically attractive as a means of mitigating the conflict and obtaining recognition and protection from Rome. Therefore, Telby concludes, Paul strongly warns the Philippian believers against the agitators and encourages them to identify with the power of Christ. So the church at Philippi was concerned because the Christian gospel was in conflict with the ideology of the civic cult of Rome. Why do we know this? Because we know that this is the very tension that Jesus addressed during his life, that Jesus's life, work, and ministry brought tension to those who were attempting to choose both sides. Jesus brought in entering the reigndom, bringing the reigndom of God in. It was an alternative way that clashed with the way of the empire. But because the church, those who had been missionized into the church at Philippi, they wanted to be validated. They wanted to be a part of the people of God. And the people of God were those they believed who were the Jews. My goodness, today. And so they then were willing to do anything, as the Jews were tied to the law. So they wanted to do anything then that would get them in, as we say in the New Testament, they wanted to be redeemed. Whatever they needed to do to be acknowledged as also the people of God is what they would do. But not only was that the issue, they also then wanted to be protected from Rome. And so what Paul is saying to them, basically in chapter 3, where he is telling them, beginning on verse 2, to beware of the dogs, beware of the evil workers and those who mutilate, so forth and so on. Paul is saying you got to beware. And then finally, he wraps around to where we are hanging our hat in chapter 4 by opening up with what appears to be a conflict between two church members. And then he begins this sort of hodgepodge of these different sayings, beginning with, listen, rejoice. This whole letter is wrapped in joy. Can you get that? That Paul is sitting in a prison, yet Paul is telling those that he is writing to engage in everything they're doing with a heart of thanksgiving, with joy. So Paul is saying, rejoice, rejoice. But here's the thing. Here's the verse that people who often preach this text miss right before, in what is probably 4 or 5b, that the Lord is near. Oh my God, today. Well, Melva, what are we saying? Paul is saying that the Lord is near. Now, for those of you who are Paul-line Christians, some of us follow Paul more than we do Jesus. That is a problem. But Paul, we should know that Paul's expectation was that Jesus was coming back at any moment. That, yes, we know not the day nor the hour, but certainly we know that it's coming. And Paul believed that Jesus was going to return in his lifetime. In his lifetime, Paul believed to see the breaking in of the sky and that Jesus would come again. Paul believed this. And so Paul is saying, sort of to wrap up these 3 major problems, these 3 things that the church of Philippi is dealing with, his summation, his summary of it all is, listen here, the Lord is near. And so don't worry. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything. But friends, can we really just sort of tell the truth here? Can we tell the truth? And the truth is this. Oh, it's so easy for folks to tell us not to worry. But worry is a part of our human makeup. It is a part of it is natural. I don't know anyone who has never worried. I don't know anyone who has not faced anything and hasn't worried about it. Even the strongest person, the strongest faith-filled person, I don't know anyone who is not concerned. I don't know any student who is not concerned about how they will matriculate through a program. I don't know any person seeking any kind of initiatory process who is not worried how they will meet the requirements. I don't know any beginning drivers that are worried how they will accumulate all of the necessary practice hours to attain their license. I don't know any parents who are responsible for life who are not worried every time those that they are responsible for leave the home and are wondering whether or not they will come back safely. I don't know any attorneys, any who desire to be practicing attorneys who are not concerned when they have sat down to take that bar. What is the point? I don't know any folk who are so so heavenly minded, if you will, that they don't have any worry. Worry, yes, Dr. Chayla, is a part of the human experience. Worry is natural to the human experience. The thing with worry, though, is if we reside in the space of worry too long, then it envelops us. Then it metastasizes then it sort of takes over. And then we start to operate from a place of worry. That's the problem. When we operate out of a place of worry, then we are never operating from a place of clarity. Yeah. See, worry cannot be the driver. Worry cannot be what drives the bus. Remember, go back to the chief in this fire country. As they came into a situation that was already intensified, a situation where the structure was not stable. What the chief is saying, it is not worry that is going to get us out of this situation. Oh my God. It is not worry that is going to move us beyond here. It is not worry that's going to get us from A to B. What is it? It's the work. It's the work. But let's make sure we understand exactly what the work is. We have read Rest as Resistance in This Community by Tricia Hersey, by New York Times best-selling author Tricia Hersey, Ashe, who is currently in Utah right now at the Sundance Theater Festival, at the Sundance Festival, where she just juried a panel and facilitated it, where she got to interview Jonathan Majors. Shout out to you, Tricia, and the Nap Ministry. We appreciate you. And so the kind of work that we are talking about is not the work that is connected to grind culture. It is not the kind of work where we are, where I am suggesting that you need to work from sun up to sundown, that you need to stay up 24 hours, that you need to grind hard, work hard, that you need to get it how you get it, live it how you get it. No. That's not the work. Jesus. Yeah. Because we have a Western understanding of what a deadline is, we believe that that is the only kind of work that will get us. Oh my goodness, that's the work that will get us to where we are in a position to not to worry. But that if I can just do it all night, if I could just work really hard, but we know that sometimes some of us will never work hard enough. Come on. So Paul invites the community. One, he says, don't be anxious. Stop worrying. Well, for him, he's saying, don't be anxious because the Lord is near. Now, I understand that for those of us who are here, for those of us who are village keepers at Robe Chronicles, we are on different levels. We are on different levels of the spectrum of our tradition. And so there are those Ashe, I don't want to go down that street, but let me just offer what my thinking of is. That the Lord is near for me. For some of you, it literally means that the Lord is near and the Lord is coming back. But what it means for me is that Christ consciousness is near. That Christ consciousness is near me. It is near because it's in me, but it's also near because it's in my neighbor. Hey, Jesus. Oh, my God. Listen, so don't worry because you have folk who are around you. You have a community that is strong enough to hold your truth. Don't worry because there are those who operate, who have activated their own Christ consciousness. There are those who live in the same way you live. There are those who understand the need for mutual respect and responsibility. There are those who see themselves in you and you in themselves. There are those who have identified, as Howard Thurman shared with us, the sound of the genuine and have gone down in themselves and come up in you and vice versa. There are those who are there. They are near. So listen, friend, don't take all of this on by yourself. It was the same with the firefighter. When the firefighter walked into that fire, she was looking at it from her individual perspective. But the chief said, work, don't worry, and you can't do work alone. Paul says to them, don't be anxious for anything. Don't let anything make you so anxious that you forget that you've already been activated, that you forget that you already have the tools within within you, that you forget your own immortal gifts of the human spirit. I wish that I could break this down for you about these immortal gifts of the human spirit, but I'm going to be obedient to the spirit and obedient to my elder mama E.T. Hari, and I'm going to wait. For those of you who come to Proctor, make sure that you are at that opening ritual. Make sure that you are at the opening ritual, and if you can help it, do not leave before the closing ritual, which happens after communion service. Ashe, listen, 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 listen. Do not be anxious for anything, but in everything, through prayer and supplication, make your request known unto God. And in doing so, you will be provided with a peace that you don't even understand. You don't even understand how you're having peace with all that is looming in front of you. You won't even understand that even in an unsound structure, come on, Holy Ghost, that even in an unsound structure, that somehow you got peace. You won't even get it, but you will have it. And this peace will guard your heart and your mind, as when the deadlines or whatever it is that we're facing collectively and individually seems to overtake us. This peace. This peace that we are getting because we know that Christ consciousness is near. We know that it is available to us. This peace will remind us of who we are, but it will remind us of what we have been called, and moreover, what we have been trained to do. Work, not worry. The text says in verse 8, and finally, beloved, here it is. Here's the work. What's the work, Melva? Here's the work. Oh, finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, my God, today, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Paul says, shift your thinking. See, your thinking about how you can make sure that you have enough credentials to be considered a part of. Hey, I'm not about to be playing with y'all. Let me go and get this. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you thinking. Yeah, like like those at the Church of Philippi. They were listening to what Paul identifies as the false teachings, because they felt like, well, maybe we need to go ahead and possibly be circumcised, since we then can be included, so that we can also be included as the people of God. Y'all don't hear me today. Y'all don't hear me today. My God, my God, my God. You sit on it for a minute. Sit on it. Think on these things. Might I suggest that we've been thinking, or let me talk to myself. I've been thinking, I have been meditating on the wrong thing. I've been meditating on the deadline. Don't you know God can move the deadline? Don't you know, because Christ consciousness is near, and Christ consciousness works through people? Yeah, she's, my goodness. There is no secret what God can do. I've not been. My mind has been set on the negative thoughts. What will happen if this is not met? What will happen if this hasn't happened by this time? What will happen if this doesn't work when this works? What will happen if I don't get this by then? But in the meantime, while I'm so focused on that, it's taking my attention off of the work. And what is the work? The work is whatever is true. The work is whatever is honorable. The work is whatever is just, whatever is pure and pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, then think about these things. Paul ends by saying, keep on doing the things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, and the God of peace will be with you. And that's what I leave with us, friends. Work. Don't worry. Work the gifts that have been given to you. Work the skills that you've learned. Listen, if you're writing, just get up and work. Dr. Shavli told us that 3 weeks ago. Don't wait to be inspired, as she quoted Octavia Butler. Don't wait to be inspired. Work as habit, for habit is persistence in practice. This is what Octavia Butler said, as told to me by Dr. Shavli T.J. Smith, right? Habit is practice, persistence in practice. Ashe. Yeah. Don't I want to get to what did my good partner Derek Young said about this here work, don't worry. He said, when you spend time focused on your purpose, he says, you spend time doing the work. He said, but when you stop and allow other things like negative energy and discomfort to come in, he says, it causes you to think about those, to focus on those things, which causes you to stop and delay the work. Which causes you to stop the work and delay the promise. My God, come on here, Derek Young. Work, friends. Work, not worry. I wish that I could see your hands raised today. And I'm looking forward to coming back to this, to the comments, to see all of those that stand in agreement that we will not be governed by what we believe is so great that we do not have the capacity to move through. But we will be governed by our ability to do the work, to not worry about what is happening or what we believe. And here's the thing. Oftentimes, what we believe will happen is not even what's going to happen or what has happened. But because Christ consciousness is near me. Come on, Mel Chris Young. The Lord is near. But because Antoinette is near, and because Diane is near, come on, Holy Ghost, and because Natasha is near, and because Candace Lewis is near, and because Vic is near, and because Carmen is near, and because Confidence is near, and because Rihanna is near, and because Devon is near, and because Kanita is there, and because Carla is there, and because V. Marie Blunt is there, and because Robin is there, oh my God, today, and because Malika is there, and because Antonia is there, and because Kelly is there, and because Erica is there, and because Margaretta is there, and because Constance is there, and because Monica is there, and because so many of the believers are there. God is saying, because Olisa is there, because Dr. Sonia is there, because Nikita is there, oh, because Donna is there, because all of us are there, because Kyle is there, because Christ consciousness is near, friends. You don't have to worry for anything. Oh, but the text, remember, says, don't worry about it. But instead of worrying, instead of giving your way to anxiety, instead of getting yourself stuck on pause, instead of being rendered to being stuck in a place called still, feast your attention, turn your attention, feast your thoughts to the left or to the right. See your neighbor and see in your neighbor the Christ consciousness. And the Christ consciousness is what has the ability to save you. And what is saving here in this text? Saving is not about what will give you eternal life, but saving is about what will liberate you from the fear of death. And as long as I know I got my hitters to the left of me and to the right of me, and as long as I know I got my Christ conscious folk in here who are willing to turn the tables over in the house of the Lord. As long as I know that I got some people in front of me who will walk before me, who will stand behind me, who will gird me up on either side, I'm not worried about anything. Tomorrow may come, but I'm not worried about what it will bring. I'm not worried about being in unsound structures because I know that my hitters with this Christ consciousness have the gift and the spirit of discernment who will share with me what to do next. I'm not worried because I know that as long as I feast on what is true and what is just, and this is what I know, what is true is my ability, is God's ability to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that I could ever ask, hope, and or think. I don't know about you this morning, but friends, I am intended on working and not worrying, working in my skill set, working my gift, working, allowing the ashe that was in me even before I crossed from eternity into time on this plane to come forth. That I am sure that as we move throughout 20 and 2023, I don't care what it says on the papers. I don't care what it says in the meetings. I don't care what they say to me. I don't care what the diagnosis is. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep my mind stayed. I'm not going to let this negativity, this anxiety overwhelm me, overtake me. But I am going to trust in my God-given ability to the best that I'm able. I'm going to move. Not by God, not by my own power, but by the power of God. Work, not worry. Work, not worry. Work, don't worry. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Oh my God, today. My God, today we are working and we are not worrying. Yes, Devon quotes Matthew that therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life and what you will eat or drink, or about your body and what you will wear. Is not life more than food than the body? Hey, listen, work. What's your work? That must be our next conversation has to be, because some of us are stuck because we don't know what our work is. That's next week. Ashe. Ashe, I invite you to come on over to the clearing. I've placed the link into the clearing. And if you've never been, it is where we have an opportunity to talk back to the text. It is a curated community where we engage, where we are liberated and free, but yet where we hold sacred community, Ashe. It is not a space where we come, where we are argumentative, where we are coming, let me say this. And no. It is a place where we talk back to the text, and oftentimes the text is ourselves, where we engage and go just a little bit deeper. And so I invite you this day to come. It is by next Sunday. It will be a community that you can only have access to if you are a part of our subscription community, Ashe. So PRC will always be PRC to date. Right now, anyway, it is my offering. However, the clearing will be a part of our subscriptions community beginning this coming Sunday, Ashe. So the last Sunday of the first month of 2023, I am doing my work, Ashe, and I am doing what I have been called to do. And so I invite you to come over now. I also invite those of you, thank you, who have been blessed and continue to be blessed by this ministry and by this work, who want to share in an offering with us. You can give with us via PayPal, Ashe, at Pink Robe Chronicles. You can give with us via PayPal. You can also give with us via Venmo, and I will write that right here, which is Melva-Sampson. Or you can give with us, those of you who use Zelle, you can give with us by putting in the email drmelvasampson@gmail.com. drmelvasampson@gmail.com. So you can give with us via Venmo at Melva-Sampson, Melva-Sampson. You can give with us via Zelle, which I've just typed into the chat, at Dr. Melva Sampson. Let me go over to YouTube. I'm sorry. Dr. Melva Sampson at gmail.com. Or you can give to us via PayPal, Pink Robe Chronicles. So I'm just putting this here for our YouTube family. All right. Okay. Ashe. Everybody has what they need. Ashe, Asheo. We will see you over in the clearing. And for those of you who usually just travel with us this part and you depart to your other services, we will see you next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Peace out, y'all. Work.